Antonio's just been with me from day one. He's
Good.
heard me cry, cuss, gripe.
Through it all.
I kept like, "You still good?"
You're still good for it? Yeah.
Yes.
And he's like,
And
yes, don't worry.
like I trust Antonio. I don't know
Yeah.
why. A really good feeling
Yeah.
that the person I was working with, being able to round this all out and knowing that I didn't lose any of the houses. And she's
Realtor.
like, "How did you do this?
Because there's no
This
realtor.
doesn't happen." And I
Exactly.
was like, "Yes, it does." So he was very respectful. He could really appreciate,
Yeah.
the attention that was paid to the properties.
Okay. So if you want to just clip this anywhere, clip on your necklace or whatever, so we can have a good audio experience. And yeah, it'll just be a kind of a brief conversation, very casual, nothing crazy.
Okay, good, because I'd be getting nervous and things.
It's okay. Yeah, this is I came to town just to go back and visit everyone we've done work with, and so it's been just this all day for me.
I was kind of wondering how that was going. Antonio was just like, "You can come and see you." I'm like, "All
I
right,
guess so.
sounds good
Yeah.
to me."
So when did Antonio first reach out to you guys? I know it was probably about a year ago. I'm guessing.
Around this time, yeah.
Okay, around this time a year ago.
And actually, my husband, he was the name on all the properties. I was only on a few of them. He reached out to Antonio
Okay.
because people had been, once they get the owner's phone number,
They
yeah. So
Yeah.
I still get
calls
yeah,
really.
yeah. Wanting
Okay.
now they want to buy this house.
Really?
So we had no way. This is my
No.
house.
Yeah, it's your dream.
But we had several properties in town, and so lots of people had been, "Hey, are you interested in selling? Are you interested in selling?" And so my husband got sick and passed away last summer. And so this time last year, he was still able to make his own decisions and do his own thing. He was
Right.
just really frustrated because he couldn't work on the houses anymore.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so basically, we built this and that. There was nothing on this property when we bought it.
Really?
My husband did it all.
Okay. So was this just a plot of land when you got it?
Yep,
Nothing.
all
No
I had on it
structures
was
existing.
game trails.
Really?
No,
Okay.
no utilities, nothing.
You guys didn't have to pull any permits or anything out here.
And we cleared the land ourselves. It was years. I raised my children out here. The homes that we sold, I raised my babies in. We come
Right.
out here every weekend and
Oh
camp
my
out.
goodness.
Yeah.
It's nice. Yeah, it's a little gem out here. Yeah.
Well, and like I said, my apologies for the goats. They're upset.
No, it's
they want to
okay.
come out and
They're
eat
hungry.
the green,
Yeah.
green grass.
They're gonna be screaming. Yeah, I feel like you could do like wedding venues out here almost.
Well, we had all kinds of different plans, and so I'm still carrying on the mission.
Okay.
So he decided, like, you know what I'll do is I'll go ahead and sell the rentals that we have.
Okay.
Because and then I'll buy more. When I get better and I can,
Yeah.
do the thing. And so he reached out to, for some reason, and I don't have the specifics, but he picked this investor. He was
Okay.
like, "I'm calling him and I'm going to set this up with him." And I'm like, "Dude, go ahead."
Yeah.
Because our finances were separate. And so
Right.
he handled all that. And so he set it up to sell. The first property was on 45th Street, to where that one would go first. And then he built another contract for 3 more properties in
Okay.
that. And so I know this, but I don't have anything to do with it.
Right. Okay.
And then around May, he had to have a surgery, and so we did power of attorney forms and things like that. And so I had power of attorney, and he was indeed incapacitated
Okay.
when the first house sold. So I had to figure out what was happening, when it was happening, and what I was supposed to do.
Okay.
So Antonio has just been with me from day one.
Okay. So how frequently would y'all talk?
At first, because he didn't know my phone number, he didn't know my name, he didn't know who I was. And so when I realized that my husband wasn't going to be able to complete this task, I went on my husband's phone and I'm like,
Really?
yeah.
Okay.
I didn't even have the code to open his phone
Really?
until like April.
Oh my goodness.
Well, we didn't think this was going to develop the way it did.
Yeah.
Because he was still like trying to run a chainsaw. We were cutting firewood, like
still active, running around. Yeah.
until he couldn't.
Yeah.
And so I was handling everything myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just basically kind of was like very scared
Yeah.
that things were going to fall apart.
Understandable.
Well, and we needed to go ahead and get these things to happen.
Yeah.
And so I go down to the title place. We do it. I go down there and
Yeah.
I sign with my power of attorney, and they tell me what to do,
Mm-hmm.
and everything was fine. I just
Right.
had to drop the keys off, and house was sold. Money was transferred. I'm like, thank
Yes.
you.
Okay.
Yes. I didn't get to tell him about it for a little while because
Okay.
he was in the hospital like it was 26 days.
So this was
in
the first
convention.
property?
Mm-hmm.
So, because, yeah, it was multiple, right? It was the
Mm-hmm.
first property whenever he first got sick. I remember kind of seeing that go down. I think it was with Antonio, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest were after the fact, right? The one on Taft, and the one on, what was it? Denver, and one more, was it 24th?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those three.
Mm-hmm. So Denver is the first house that we bought, or he bought it. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
my name's wasn't even on that one because we weren't married at the time. But I raised my babies in that house, and then we moved to 24th, and Paul remodeled all those houses. Like I never,
Himself?
yeah. Well, I
Wow.
helped.
Right.
I do the cleanup, and I
Okay.
can sand some floors. I've actually cracked ribs, being up in the rafters around here, and
Okay.
so I help.
Okay.
Anyway, so that one got sold. At this point, my life is completely focused on driving back and forth to Oklahoma City,
Mm-hmm.
like being with my husband.
Of course.
He passed away July 10th. And before that, the other houses, we weren't sure that was going to work out.
Right.
There was maintenance issues because
Mm-hmm.
I had to figure out how to keep the lawns mowed. And how to make sure that
It's not easy.
the buildings were secure and roll over and figure out because I had a tenant.
Mm-hmm. Or a squatter.
Well, no, I actually had a tenant,
Okay.
but I
Yeah.
had to make sure I didn't get squatters.
Yeah. It's a tough thing in Lawton. Those are everywhere. A house stays vacant for like a month, and I swear it gets
Paul
torn
always
up.
kept his properties up
That's good.
very well,
Yeah.
which is why the renters like to stay there,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just kind of trying to keep on top of all of that.
Right.
And so
And that got dropped onto you all at once.
yes. And so there were some issues with the property on Taft.
Yeah.
That one wasn't livable,
Yeah, that one was
at the
rough.
time because it was demoed.
It was like to the studs, basically.
And so, anyway, Antonio reached back out
Mm-hmm.
just to kind of see if I was still interested or we were still interested in selling one or two of them.
Yeah.
And I told him what happened.
Yes.
And he was like, oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and then I got fired from my job.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, it was like bam, bam, bam. That didn't help.
No,
So
of course not.
Antonio has heard me. He's been a good support.
That's
he has
good.
heard me like.
He was a
cuss.
good listener.
Yes.
Good.
He's heard me cry, cuss, gripe.
Through it all, because it was a long process because of the whole
yes
probate mess.
Well, actually, probate went pretty fast.
Really? Okay.
Considering what could have happened.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any experience other than my own on what happens when you're a widow.
Of course.
But from what I heard, you can really get taken to the cleaners.
Yeah, the probate attorneys love to drag it on, and will just keep charging you day and night. And the lady I was just talking to before, the same situation, and her probate attorney dragged it on as long as he could, and she was just had to cut her losses basically with that.
So my situation went a little differently.
Okay.
First of all, I had a lot of blessings. My family's been really supportive.
Good.
I found a new job.
Awesome. Congrats.
Pretty quick.
Yeah.
And I remember, like I said, because Antonio would just kind of, how are we doing?
How are we doing?
What's the update?
Yeah.
What's the update? And to me, everything was scary the whole time.
Of course.
I'm like, what if I can't sell the properties? Because for me to try to sell them myself
Mm-hmm.
and like get in real estate,
Realtor.
it would take me a year, 2 years probably.
Because a realtor would have told you to fix them up or do this or that, and then they'd be like, no, don't accept this offer. Let's
This
keep it.
particular contract,
Mm-hmm.
the way that it was set up, even when it had to be set
Redone.
up,
Yeah.
it was still based off it's as is. This is
Yes.
the
Yes.
arrangement,
As it sits is as we take it.
and anyway, I'll get to that part.
Okay.
So I started the probate stuff, but I didn't know because my attorney didn't really explain to me.
As attorneys do.
Well, and at the time, to be fair, I wasn't necessarily all cylinders. I was very upset, and I'm sure they don't try to flood,
with information,
the spouses.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is going to happen. It's going to be like this much. I'm sure there's a reason behind it. I'm not the first person,
Yes.
that has lost
Yes.
the spouse, but I thought I could sell the properties then, and so did Antonio. We were like, "Yay, let's do it!" No, and so he had some children that are estranged,
Mm-hmm.
and so they would not cooperate.
Really?
Because they could have signed something or whatever to help me
Mm-hmm.
go ahead and.
They didn't.
Oh no,
Oh.
they were very much not nice.
Really?
About it. They didn't contest anything, but they just didn't. They weren't helpful.
Okay.
Which is fine. And so I basically was left with my attorney. So everything was fine. Okay, we're rocking on. I get a job. I started right around Christmas.
Okay.
Because it took me like a couple of weeks to kind of go through the processes and get my background checked in and all that stuff. And so I was telling Antonio, and he's like, "Good job." Oh, and during that time, he helped me sell my truck.
Really?
Paul's
He did?
truck. Well, he helped me by being really, really supportive because I had no idea how to sell this truck.
That's what he was telling me, because I remember he was posting on Facebook all these like trucks and equipment, or like he was telling me about it, and I was wondering like, what is he doing with these trucks? And he explained it to me. I'm like, oh, good. Like, yeah, that's what he should do.
Well, he didn't. The way he helped me is he let me know what my options were, which was a heck of a lot more than the attorney.
Right. No, the attorney doesn't care.
Well, he had this idea that basically he would just look at me, well, can't your family help?
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, you haven't, I just done with you. Well, I kept up the homeowner's insurance on the properties because I wanted to protect the assets. And so, and I had to maintain the properties this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, which is fine, but it's half the income. And not even that.
Right.
It's my husband could do all these things himself.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what needs to be done generally because I understand, how to maintain a household. But that was just insurmountable to me in my head.
Of course.
And so I really wanted to go ahead and close that chapter and work out here.
Yeah, I can understand why.
Well, I took his truck. It was a very nice truck.
Okay.
Back to the dealership. And
Really?
Yes. And they were very nice. It was all done. They paid off the thingy and gave me the money over.
I didn't know you could do that.
I did not either.
Did Antonio suggest that?
Well, somehow I got suggested to me. I know he was talking about sticking it on Facebook. He even thought about seeing if you guys needed it.
He was sending it to all the group chats I was in.
We were trying to figure this out. Like, how do you sell a vehicle that your name is not on? And so that's what I ended up doing.
Okay.
And it worked out just fine. I got a picture of me standing next to that truck.
Saying goodbye?
Well, being proud of myself.
Right.
That I was able to handle some things.
Of
And
course.
so that's kind of the running theme with all of this. Is being able to handle it, being proud of myself to get through it.
Get through it. Okay.
It's really hard.
Of course. Of course.
So.
Yeah, you're okay.
Because the best part is yet to come. So.
Amen.
Well, so we get through the holidays because, like, judges, they're on half days. Like, everybody's taking off. Like, there were delays.
Of course.
And Antonio, I kept like, "You're still good.
You're still good for it."
Yes.
Yeah. And he's like, "Yes, don't worry."
He did. He was very reassuring. Obviously, keeping his interests at the forefront.
Of course.
But he was like, "Yes, we're still good, but how much longer?"
Yes.
And so I kept emailing the attorney, and he was not answering me.
Really?
No, he could not. It was like a few more weeks. You're like,
Every time it's a few more weeks.
You don't understand. I said, I have a buyer that this is impacting.
Yeah.
The longer this goes on.
Yeah.
But like I said, holidays.
Mm-hmm.
And so New Year comes and we finally have a court date. The attorney was supposed to have done some filings to have gotten it before the end of the year. He just didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Which,
that's
I mean, I was angry about it, but what are you going to do now about it?
Yeah.
Because I was under the impression he would be able to get it done faster. It just didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then so New Year comes around and I'm like, where's my court date? He's like, guess what? Court date. Yay.
Yeah.
And so I'm telling Antonio, like, no. No. The attorney, in his own words, made a boo-boo.
Yep. I remember that. I remember getting that text.
Forgot to file something because you have to publish, for a certain amount of time.
Yep.
Just to give people the opportunity to, hello.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't do that. And I remember I got that call. I was at work in my new job. My new high-powered job where I make more money than I used to, like, really.
Leveling up. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God.
No. Like, yeah.
And so the lawyer was like, I'll call the buyer. I will call him. And this.
Calm it down. Yeah.
Because he knew that that was a problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's bad. And I was very upset. And so I got off the phone with him, and I was too scared to text Antonio because I'm like, I know I can't.
Yeah, not right now.
And so Antonio did reach back out and ask what's going on. And he called, I think, because I answered the phone. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, did my attorney talk to you? And he had no idea. He was like, no, what happened? And at that point, it is my understanding that Antonio called my attorney.
Yes.
Probably several times.
Yes.
Quite possibly with, you are impacting my business, and this might be a problem for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't have to pay my attorney the rest of the fees.
There we go.
And we went to court, and he couldn't hardly look me in the face at first.
Mm-hmm.
And we settled it, and he took care of me, handed me my stuff. He said, anything you need, just give me a call. And I was like, they're sold. And it took a little bit after that to get it set up to close.
Yep.
But it was, for me, it wasn't like feeling bad about doing it.
Okay.
It was, this is what he wanted. Mm-hmm. This is what our family needed. Mm-hmm. So that I don't have to devote energies to trying to keep up something.
Of course.
That, like, you guys, the same people came and I showed the houses at one time. Paul showed the houses with my mother, like at one time. Like, she was wheeling him around. I had to walk her, like.
Oh my goodness.
Because he was sick, for a long time.
Yeah.
But these homes went where I wanted them to go.
Okay.
And I
realized
realized
means a lot. It really does.
It does. And here's the last thing. So
you're good.
I had to get an accountant.
Okay.
I have money to take care of, and I have to pay taxes.
Yes.
Which I never do, because Paul did that. And I had no idea. I couldn't find last year's tax return because the laptop, I'm locked out of the laptop.
Oh, no.
Well, we had somebody prepare them the years before, so that helped.
Okay.
But last year, he was sick and he did it on TurboTax. Anyway, so I get this accountant, and I do all the stuff. I give her all the paperwork, and I have my meeting. And she's looking through, and I'm telling her about the house that sold last year. Excuse me. And then I sold the other three.
These three, yeah. The one last
this year.
Yeah.
And she was looking at the paperwork because it was so simple. It was just that one little page, and it just had the number that they paid me this, and it went there.
Yeah, because it was just us, no realtor.
And she's like, how did you do this?
Because there's no realtor.
This doesn't happen.
Exactly.
And I was like, yes, it does, because
there's no realtor.
And when I showed her the other one, she's just like, that's amazing.
Really? Okay.
Yes. And I realized people will have different resources available to them when they're trying to
course.
sell properties and things like that. But really, we never LLC'd. It wasn't anything like that. It was just my husband had a work ethic that fit
Yeah.
with being a really good landlord,
Yeah.
number one, and he just always was investing in building and building and building.
Took care of what he owned.
I was gonna say he built this.
Yeah.
And I'm right there with him, just handling my stuff like
Yeah.
kids and groceries. But anyway, and so being able to round this all out and knowing that I didn't lose any of the houses.
Of course.
One of them had a mortgage on it.
Really?
And so, like,
I could have.
had all of this fallen through, like, they could have just foreclosed on it.
Okay.
And I would have just lost it. And that
Yeah. Then,
would, same thing with selling the truck. If they had
because there was a
repoed,
loan on it. Yeah.
if they had repoed that truck, I would have felt bad. I would have felt like I let him down.
Really?
Or let my family down, so.
So
It
what
meant a lot.
was that the day of close? What was that like for you? Like, was it a smooth day or like?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're seeing some tears now, but
Of course.
it's because I started from the beginning.
Yeah. This means a lot because there's a lot of people who will go through similar situations, and I think it's good for people to hear similar stories when they're in it because, like, I'm sure you can attest, it probably feels pretty lonely. Or depending on where you are, scary. It's lonely, scary, and so I really like being able to hopefully, use this to show other people in similar situations that, like, you can get through it and like, yeah. So, thank you for sharing all this. And do you have? I'd like to know kind of what we could have done better on our end, because next time we come across someone in a similar situation, we want to do better always.
So there is one thing.
Okay. One little thing.
Remember how I said it was scary?
Uh-huh.
All of this has been scary.
Scary.
I was afraid to text back on Paul's phone. I was afraid if they knew that he was sick or if they knew that something would fall apart. And so I would tell him, I'm like, this is Michelle. I'm his wife.
Okay.
Well, apparently somebody forgot that. And so at the first closing on the paperwork, it said my name and then a single woman.
Oh.
No, they changed it.
Yeah.
They changed it.
That was. They
probably thought I was a girlfriend or somebody.
I think that was Oklahoma family. That was our title company, and
well, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, as far as that transfer of, no, I can't talk to Paul anymore because Antonio didn't know why.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I was afraid to tell him.
Understandable.
And so, but once I had, the power of attorney was in place, and I realized, like, Paul's not going to be able to do this, because he was basically not being able to communicate, and ended up having to trach him, and because he had a heart surgery, and like, just did not go well. Like, he never came back.
What hospital was it?
Well, he was at Comanche in the ICU for like 26 days.
Okay.
And then they had to move him to the city.
Okay.
And then it was another couple weeks. And then he was, he was done. But the sale of the houses, like, I remember when I told him about the first one. That did kind of.
Pep.
Well,
or
because I talk a lot.
Yeah.
And so he knows this. But anyway, I was like, you want to know what happened to the house? He said, guess what, baby? The money's in the bank. And you could tell him, he's like, oh, thank God.
Thank God. Yeah.
And then the other ones, he never got to see what would happen with that. But because I told him, I'm like, it's okay. You know what I'll do? I'll just put some renters in them. And I remember him raising his eyebrow, like, so he knew I could handle it. It sucks that I had to.
Yeah. But you did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did it.
And I did it with a really good feeling that the person I was working with, like, I trust Antonio. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But I've called him, like, because I guess he lives in New York or something.
So that's our setup. He's in New York, but I'm here, and I let him. He speaks on the phone, to people, and I'm running around managing the properties. So, and I'm for in-person stuff. It's either me or our other guy Gabriel, but yeah, it's people always are like, what, you're in New York? Like, what are you doing in Lawton? It's like, I'm here.
Even the people that they sent to look at the houses,
Mm-hmm.
I guess I remember that one guy. I can't remember his name, but he had the phone, and he's looking around. I
Gabriel,
guess he's
yeah.
speaking Portuguese.
Gabriel, yep.
Yes.
He's from Brazil.
Okay, he was very respectful.
Yeah, he's a good man. He's married to our property manager as well.
So he was very respectful, because my mom, Paul built this, Paul did this, and all that stuff. But no, he could really appreciate, the attention that was paid to the properties, because when you're buying stuff like that, I imagine when you're buying as is stuff,
you get it all.
well, and even if it's not the awesomest, the respect paid to somebody that this is their life.
Exactly.
Because we've been building that forever.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have any bad feelings at all. I'm glad.
Okay.
I actually saw like a hole in the roof on 24th when I drove by. I think they're already working on it.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, but good. When we bought that house, the lady across the street from it owned it. Her and her husband. He was blind, and that house was not cool.
No.
No bueno.
Not taken care
of. They had one of their kids living in it, and they were like infested and.
Oh no.
No bueno. No. So I've seen the dirt to the rafters in that house because we gutted it and
Did all that.
Me too. I was sanding floors.
You sanding floors?
Yeah, and he built the cabinets in the kitchen, and yeah.
Because I remember it had the original hardwood still. Because I know Gabriel did first walk, but then I went and checked it out at one point too, and I was very surprised to still see the original hardwood. Because nowadays everyone just throws down the vinyl. They don't even think
When
twice.
I grew up, my houses had hardwood floors, and so that was one of the reasons that we picked it.
Yep.
And plus, it was just around the corner from where we were living, so we didn't have to move all super crazy. But that house on Denver is amazing. Little duplex, it's got hardwood in there too. They're just cute, and if for somehow you could feel safe there. And I remember when we started fixing it up. Excuse me, because I had rose bushes and all kinds of stuff. The neighbors, their landlords, started fixing their houses up too. Those duplexes.
Because they're like, oh shoot, I gotta.
Well, that whole 24th Street, because there's another little circle that has a bunch of duplexes on it, and they were trying to sell those for $50,000 a side.
Really?
They're like, why are you gonna buy a side of a duplex? Like, are you kidding me? Like, we're not doing that.
No.
And that's not worth $100,000.
No, I've never heard of anyone doing that. That's crazy.
Oh, and they were pretty trashed out.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's been a story. It's just really. I felt like this was very. This was an honor,
Really? Well, the honor's
to
ours
take care of
too.
it. Yeah,
It means a lot, and like we like to hear this because I mean, Lawton is it's a rough town, certain parts of it, and it needs a lot of love, not just the houses, but there's so many stories, and it means a lot that we get to be a part of it to any degree. So I really appreciate you sharing all this.
No problem.
Hey, you're gonna make me a little.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
At this point, I'm getting to the point, like when I went to the accountant, I ain't crying. You know what I mean? I was like, this and that, and this and that. Here's the death certificate. That kind of hurts a little bit because I get his wallet out and everything.
Oh, yeah.
But, and so like the mortgage company, there's so much mail.
Yeah.
But it's settled. It's settled.
Peace now, because you got goats to worry about.
Well, and I've got to find crews. I had an insurance adjuster out here to. Yeah, that's where I'm at. So some crews. I need crews.
We got people. We can help y'all finish this if you wanted to do. Were you just gonna do siding here, regular vinyl siding, or not sure?
Do you care if we could turn this off? Maybe?
Oh yeah, I can turn it off.
Well, no, and also because I'm gonna smoke. But
you're good. You're good.
I don't want to do it on. So big.
He's a big boy. Oh my goodness.
He's a very good breeder.